Hi everyone, this is Ofer. In this video, I'm going to go over how to install a MIT server under a host that contains multiple MIT servers. On our instance, let's select MIT servers to list all the MIT servers that are existing in our instance. So we see that we have a bunch of MIT servers that are down. Some of them are hosted on Azure, on a Windows server in Azure. In order to see the MIT server processes or MIT server services, we click on the services and we see that we have two existing services for existing MIT server that are currently not running. Now I'd like to download and install a third MIT server to be hosted on this Windows host. Let me log into my ServiceNow instance to download the installation file. So I go ahead and type in download and I download the installation file. In this case, it's Windows, so I'm going to pick the Windows MSI. While the file is being downloaded, I'll go back to my instance and add a MIT server users that will have the MIT server role on it. So I'll go ahead and create a new user. I'll call it MIT server 3 user, and then I'll save the user record. And then I'll set a password, which I'll save into a separate file. So I'm just going to copy the password that has been generated and I'll type it in a notepad and I'll save the password. I'll make sure that the password does not need reset and save it again, and then I'll add the MIT server role to that user. So I'm going to go ahead to the roles. I'll type MIT server and I'll add the MIT server role to the user. So I'm just going to copy the MIT server username. And then by this time, the installation file has been downloaded. So I'm going to go ahead and verify that the installation directory of the services in the root of the Windows server host. Let me go ahead and install the MIT server using the installer. The installer will initiate. We'll go to the next step and accept the license agreement. I'll choose the instance that I'm connecting to, and then the MIT server username that I created earlier. And I'll take the password that has been generated and I'll copy it into the password field. I'll verify that the connection is tested properly. And indeed it is. So I'm going to close it and I'm going to the next step. In the next step, I'm going to choose a MIT server name. I'm going to call it MIT server 3. Now I'll have the installer create a new local user account for me, so the MIT server process will run under this account. This service account is a local system account that has a role of log on as a service. I'm going to go ahead and give it mid2 SVC name and give it a password and have the installer generate it for me or create it for me on the local host. I'm going to select it after it has been generated and provide the password and verify that the account is set up correctly. For the destination of the installation, I'll pick the root directory of the host, which is the default selection. I'm going to go ahead and confirm and install the MIT server service. Once the installation has been completed, I'll go ahead and refresh the services listing and verify that we have a new process called ServiceNow MIT server _ MIT3, which is starting right now. Back at our instance, let's verify that the MIT server has been detected by our instance. You can see that we have MIT server 3 that is currently down. Let's go ahead and validate the MIT server and select all the capabilities, IP ranges, and supported applications on it, which is the default. Now the MIT server is up and running. So we see that the status of it has changed and the capabilities, IP rangers, and supported application has been set to all. We see that the MIT server is up and validating, and after a short time, it is validated. The MIT server is up and running with using the MIT server 3 user. This concludes the how to install a MIT server under 5 minutes. Questions, comments, and suggestions are always welcome.